All right. Thank you guys for joining this session. Today we are learning about integration test. This is a continuation from what we started from last week, learning about unit test and widget test. So now we're getting to integration test. And as we continue, we'll learn more all other types of tests that are happening in the Flutter world. And I'm honored today to be hosting you, and I'm looking forward to also learning from you guys. So these are the vibes, this is what we do. So by explanation, who would like tell us what they understand by integration test? Adam?
Okay, this is not like a dictionary definition, but basically, in my experience, I found that there are different types of integration tests, and for Flutter, from the Android side, I think when you are utilizing Firebase Test Lab to do integration tests, there are a number of types of tests. There is robot testing, instrumentation testing. So from the Flutter side, we are kind of more conversant with the instrumentation testing. So this is where a real device is attached to, let's say, a script that runs the tests. It performs certain key bindings. So for example, it taps the keys, and you can actually see a video footage of the app being run on a real device. So yeah, that's in my experience, that's what I've been able to accomplish.
Oh, nice. That's amazing. Thank you for that. Yeah, anyone else who with a different maybe way of how they understand what integration test is in Flutter?
Let me try to explain my version of the same. I think, excuse my voice. I think integration tests in Flutter is a type of test that focuses mostly on testing the behavior of like multiple things in your application as a whole. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for that. Anyone else? Thanks, Sam, for that. Anybody else with a different way of how they're understanding what integration test is in a nutshell? Also, no answer is wrong. That's the vibe. That's the vibe, yo. So if I may put it in my words, I think integration test is more or less what you guys have discussed. It's like a type of test that basically tests the whole app functionality from how you've written you're consuming your APIs to how the application renders literally everything in a nutshell. And this spirals now to a more like to the next level of test, where now you start like testing for app performance, battery life, and such stuff, which we'll maybe cover in the next session. But basically, integration testing is a test technique that focuses on verifying the correct interaction between different components or modules of a system. In other words, in the context of Flutter, integration testing involves testing the integration of various parts of Flutter apps, including all the widgets, the APIs, DB, and external services. So moving on, has anyone tried to like write a widget or an integration test, and how does it look like from your end? Anyone with an example? Please feel free to like share your screen also, or ask me to give you permission to share screen. Anyone? No one? Yes, no. Okay, so maybe I should try to like share this screen. Disclaimer, it has an error. it refused to pass one type of test. So let me try sharing my screen. Which one was it? I hope you can see this. So I have this particular screen which has like a username and a password. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that the application runs the proper test such that you're able to enter the correct username and the correct password and log in. And after logging in, it takes you to this demo page. However, if the username and the password is incorrect, then it needs to like show a dialog box that says, let me do some reversing. Let me try also sharing my code because I am experiencing an error, and since these are the vibes, maybe this is where we'll try to like solve it. Oh, I have to stop sharing and then reshare again. I think this is the code. Yeah, can you see both my code and my Ninio and my simulator?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, so at the end of the day, the goal was you enter the correct username and the correct password, and then you log in. However, I have this controller that's really been controlling me in a way that I don't like. So let's do this. So this is where I've declared like the next step. If you enter the correct name and the correct password, then it goes to the home page. Otherwise, if it's wrong, then it displays this dialog box. So since I can navigate, so this is how it's supposed to look like. Login. Okay. Also, I hardly ever use this thing for debugging the code. So, okay, nice. So you see now we are having like this dialog box because I haven't entered any username or password. But here I set my name as my name. Set my name as my name, and the password as just password. And then when I try to log in, it still gives me this error. I still don't know why, even though I've used the correct name and password. However, we will just work with that. So the aim of this is I have like two conditions. One is if I'm writing tests for two conditions. One is if the application runs the correct username and the password, then the test passes. The integration test passes. If I input the wrong username and the wrong password, then obviously it's not supposed to go to the home screen. However, the test is supposed to pass because that's how you set your condition. So how do we go about writing this integration test? Real quick. So what I've come to know about integration test is you need to like write in its own folder, right? Like you need to like have it in its own folder. Like it's not like the other tests that are included in the test folder that comes automatically with Flutter when you're running your first app. Am I correct? Wrong? Yeah. Any input on that? Yeah. So basically that's what I just came to realize. And you write its very own folder, and always if you're writing tests, you need to like include the name test so that the compiler is able to know whatever you're writing is a test. So let's dig in. First and foremost, also don't forget to include the package in your dev dependency, the integration test and the SDK. By the way, quick question, what's the difference between the dev dependency and just the dependency?
Even can try and clarify that. It's for the dev dependencies. You know, if you're working, let's say, with a database, right? And you don't want to be maybe running queries. In this case, I'm assuming you're using Drift database. So let's say you're using that and you don't want to be like writing queries to know how the records are structured and all that. You can end up using something like Database Inspector, which is something within your application that will open a page that will show you all the tables. And when you click a table, it will show you the data. So you're the only one who needs that data. Like the user doesn't need to see the tables. They just need to see the data and the way you present it to them in widgets and all that. So dev dependencies is something like dependencies that only you as a developer will be using. So they won't be included in the production build. So ideally they won't go like, when you go to Play Store, they won't be accessible to users. So they'll only be available on debug, but not in the release.
Oh, nice.
Let's just say dependencies, they are used for production or in testing environments, whereas dev dependencies, they are used for project development purposes only.
Yeah, I think that clears it up. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. So after including our integration test package in the dev dependency, then I believe now we are at a position to kick it off with writing the tests, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I know somebody's worker time is reading like 16 hours, don't worry. Anyways. Okay, so we get to our integration test folder file. So we have something that before kicking it out, we first of all declare the main function. That this is where we will like be writing. Wait, what's the main function in this particular case, considering that we also have a main function in the main.dat file? That's a question.
Sorry, can you please repeat that?
What's the purpose of the main function here on our test file? Because I also realized when we're writing the unit test, we also had to like declare the main function still. But now, what's the main function here? Sorry, what's the main function in our test, considering that we also have like a main function in the main.dat file?
I think the main function, it's basically the entry point for the execution of our that program. And so, for example, in this case, this test file is a different program from the main app. So the main app will start separately for independent of the test. So yeah, it's basically the entry point, the execution point. Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically the execution point for
the that program. So in this case, we have two programs. We have the app and the test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. The reason Oh, sorry.
Maybe to add on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, later on in the implementation, as you are doing the integration test, you'll find that you have two different APKs, the one for the app and the one for doing the Android test. So I think it's the entry point for the Android test APK. Yeah.
Okay. So basically the main function is always like the entry point for whatever you're writing, right? Yes, no, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the reason why I asked that is because as we're proceeding to this test bit, we will, or rather, you'll see that I have imported like a main.dat file, and I have declared a main function here, and then we still have a main function in the main.dat file. So maybe it might be confusing someone, but we'll clarify it as we go. And then now we come here to the integration test widget Flutter binding. Does anyone know what's the purpose of this? That one?
I think anytime you are trying to combine some like the Flutter SDK with something like Firebase or something like that, you have to ensure that all the bindings, it's like Firebase. How am I going to the way I understand this is, do you know those cartoons for Firebase is that Sparky stuff, and then us is Dash. So it's like when you declare integration test widget Flutter binding, it's like the Flutter cartoon is like extending its hand, and then you're saying like the Flutter should first initialize first. Should all its bindings, all its functions and methods should first start, so that when the other tool that you're using, when it loads up, it has something to merge with, or like has something to work with, because that's how I understood. So the basically you're saying that integration test widgets Flutter binding is like ensure the integration test part of Flutter initializes first.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I hope you have understood. I also don't know like how to like explain it properly, but I think you've mentioned it. Okay, so does anyone have a bit another explanation? Maybe yes, no.
I'd say binding, and it's just an extension of what Thomas has said, which is binding simply implies interfacing with another subsystem. So basically you have the main program and it's running your widgets and everything that's being rendered, but you wanted to communicate with whatever is program now is doing the integration tests, or is basically tracking the integration tests. So having the binding initialized just ensures that both subsystems are in communication.
Yeah, precisely. Yes, thank you for that. And I also realized that it can also be initialized in the main.dat file as well. I think now when you're doing the binding on Firebase, then this is where you're supposed to like write it. So let's continue. Okay. So in this case, I wrote this test I put it in a group because I said I had like two conditions that I want to like write test on. One that makes sure that our application passes whatever conditions we have, that is the correct username and the password. And the other one is the incorrect username and password. But let's try to like explain this this thing step by step. So we're grouping this, and then we have to like put forgotten the name of this particular thing here, the description. So the description for our test is end-to-end app test. And then we have our group. So the first one is the correct username and the password. And then we have the tester here. In this, the tester here is like a variable such that you just call it because you don't want to keep calling like the widget tester every now and then. So you just include it, and then it's a sync. It's a sync because why are we putting it as a sync function? Anyone with clue? Yes, no? Okay. So we have it like this because these are things that are going to be done in the future, I suppose. So we like have the async method that we expect it to do the functionalities in the future. And these functionalities are whatever we are gonna write in here. Please feel free to like ask questions within. All right, so the first thing that we are writing here is the app.main. There is a question that I asked, why do we have like a main function here and also the main function on the main.dat? And then we have like the app.main. So basically what this does is it lets us know that we are running the test for the whole application. We could have it like main, just like that. And then we don't import something. Okay, we can have like as app, but we could have it like this. But if we write like the main function just like this, then this means we're going to get problems, because now our test's probably wondering, so which main are we going to like, what application are we going to run on? Is it like the integration test or for the whole application? So we write like app.main so that we let the application know that, and then here we have us as app, so that we let our test know that we are running the whole application, not just this particular integration test that we've written. When it comes to other types of tests like widget test, we didn't have like the app.main functionality because we are just testing a particular function or a particular widget. However, for this is what makes us know that we are testing like the whole application. And then, okay, so continuing, any question, any clarification? Yes, no? All right. So continuing with our, or just a quick question. Is there a different way that you guys declare this?
A different way to declare?
To declare like to make sure that we are testing the whole application, the whole app.
Not really for me.
Okay, cool. All right, so we continue with now writing like the test that we want to run on our application. And then I have another question, but assuming that you have like a really big application, like do you have to write like literally everything that's going to be displayed on the screen?
Like within the tests?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like
I think
the text or everything, like the keys, What exactly do you mean by everything?
Like, for example, here we have like 2 form fields, right? And then let's say I add like another, let's say I add like a button here. I can even add a floating action button here. And then, okay. So we have like another floating action button here. So do I also include test for this particular button as well when writing an integration test? Like, because I've only like written test for the username, for the password, and this login button, which is this one. So do I also still write like the test for this other particular button that I included?
I think the question touches mostly on test coverage, which is something I think Danvik mentioned in the previous discussion, which is test coverage is something you have to, like, you basically have you have the choice to make of how much coverage you can do within your application. It's basically like depends on what you want to achieve with your tests. So like if it's something that's very obvious, then and something that doesn't need to be tested, you don't have to like necessarily include a test for it. Like you can do it just for due diligence and all that. But if you know that this thing is not changing and it doesn't affect like big parts of the application, you can just say that you can just take liberty with it and say, I won't be writing tests for this, but I'll be writing tests for this other thing, which is more dynamic and has more chances of breaking.
Okay. All right, cool. Because I was just wondering, like the whole time, maybe you have like something else used to write test for it. Okay. All right. So now I've written like the test coverage for when the password is correct and when the password is wrong. But let's try and see how it renders, right? Is there anything that I didn't try to explain? Okay, so another thing that I came to learn. So here we're writing await tester. You can find by type, and I've written like 0 at 1 and at 0 and at 1. So here's the thing, like you can, there are different ways that you can let your test know, like I want you to test this particular form field. However, the confusion comes when you have like more than one form field. Like for in our example, we have like the form field for username and the form field for the password. So I wrote here find by type form field, and then you have your own index. So here we have like at index 0. So by default, it will know that you're checking the very first one, and when it comes to the first index, then it will know this is the second form field. There is another way that you can use, and that's you can find by key, where you initialize your key here, and maybe you say key probably username, users, whatever. So you can either use the find by type or find by key. By key, it's like by this, by key. And then you declare your key here, which is users. Oh, is this the correct way? Okay, you go check it out, guys. But yeah, you can use like 2 ways, either by type or by key. But let's do find by type, and then initialize our indexes at 0 and 1. And then this is another way, like I wanted to clarify that just in case you have like two similar things and you probably don't know how to like differentiate them. So those are the two methods. Any question, any clarification on that? No? Yes. Okay, so our test here is obviously going to fail because as I had tried to like log in, it obviously failed. So, but the second one will pass, so don't worry. So let's try running it. And another interesting thing is whenever you're running your test, your test, it's like cancels everything and now tries to like input everything by itself. And then it kills the application automatically. Oh yeah, just kill the app. So it fails. Couldn't build the application for the simulator. I will try to like fix that later because I genuinely don't know what's up, but let's try like running the test for the other one since that's the one that passes. In the meantime, I would like to like see if there's anyone who's written like a test case for a complex application that they could probably show us how it renders. Okay, this other one also failed. I swear this thing was working. Oh, okay. Oh no, this thing was actually testing before. And now I don't know why it's failing. It's embarrassing me in front of everyone.
Let me try to share something. It's not a complex one as you have requested, but it's not a complex one. But yeah, I hope I hope it and any. Let me first close the windows. Is that fine, Kenny?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just give me a minute to close all my windows. I don't want you guys to see what I've been up to. Okay. Okay. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
So share this screen. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
So this is just a simple counter app. So I think it's an app maybe most of you are familiar with. Clicking this button, it will increase on, yeah. And in this case, I'll be using Flutter driver for the integration test. So I'll just go through the code. So the group, I think the group, yeah, it's just like grouping like all the tests in one, let me say, kind of like in one group, and you give it like a description and stuff. So this will execute. I have this setup all method, which makes sure that connects the Flutter driver to the application, to the running application. In this case, I'll just pass the VM, the .vm link that we normally provided is like a WebSocket link for that, and the terminal, which allows us to close the connection to the app when the tests are over. The first test, just as I had said before, I think I kind of think that integration test is kind of like a combination. It's kind of, not really, but kind of a combination of multiple unit tests. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Let me just increase my font a little bit. Yeah, so in this case, I have this the first test which verifies the initial counter value to be 0, and I have this find the text find the sum. So in this it just checks if we have this text and we expect that to find text 0. We have the second test, which is basically a test to verify the counter. So on tapping this button, in this case it will find this button. I will find by semantics label. So in this case I've wrapped my addition button with the semantics and given it a label increment, and the semantics for decrement. I normally use semantics to help me easily find widgets within the widget tree. So in this case, I'll use semantics. It will allow me to find by semantic labels. So in this case, for the incrementing, I'll find the incrementing button which has the semantic label increment. If it finds it, it will tap the button a few times in this loop. And the last test, it will just test the decrementing the value. Yeah, for a number of times it will again find the decrement button by the semantics label, and it will do that. So how I can test this? I'll just have to run the app first. I'll run the app. Candy, you have a question?
Yeah. So I've seen that you're finding by semantics. So this is like another way. It's like finding by type or by key. So in your case, you're like finding by semantic, right?
Yes, I think finding by semantics is the best way, because especially if you have like multiple widgets of the same type. So in this case, 2 floating action buttons. I think it's opinionated anyway, but I think it will be easier for me just to have one at the semantic level instead of finding the specific icon and something like that.
Does it have
Sorry?
does it have like advantages from maybe using the key or something?
I'm really not sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about that, but maybe that's something you can maybe do some research about and see.
Well, in my experience, I've been able to write many tests, but I've seen that most of the projects use just keys, find by keys. It's like the recommended way.
Oh, thank you, Adan, for the clarification. I'm assuming that semantics is like an extra widget. Is it like a package or is it provided by Flutter?
It's a widget within Flutter. So.
Oh, so maybe it was made for this specific reason. You can proceed.
Yeah. So where was I? Oh yeah, I'll have to run the app first. Is it run? Okay. Let me run it again. Yeah, so as it's building, I just need to get the link to the app. In this case, you'll see that we'll find this message that connecting to the VM service at WebSocket localhost something. So I'll just copy this link and use it as my URL here. I don't know if it connects automatically, but for me in a kata, because I see that that VM service URL is kind of like a nullable string. So I don't know why me in a kata but it's okay. So if I move to my terminal and run, okay. Also another thing, for Flutter driver, you have to enable the Flutter driver extension so that when you call this, the Flutter driver connect, it won't, when you initialize kind of like the Flutter driver variable, it won't take long to maybe get it. It may take forever, so you have to enable the Flutter driver extension. Then, yeah, you can just then write Flutter test. Then I think we'll just see how the app will go through the integration. As you can see, it tapped all the way to, I don't know, 5, then reduced by 3, and it went through all these tests. So it's just a small example, and I think it's something that, of course, can be used anywhere, like even in bigger apps and stuff. So just a quick example I created right before this meeting. Yeah. Back to you, Kenny.
Oh, all your tests are passing, mine are not passing. That's not right.
You can use ChatGPT to help you solve the errors.
I think Candy may paint a good picture of the testing part. So,
yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. So I was really hoping that at least this test runs so that we see like how an integration test really feels in a nutshell, but it is what it is, you know. Okay, I wanted to know, like, does anyone else have like end-to-end incorrect? Okay, so I have a test that just passed, so let me share my screen again. Let me try sharing so that we see this thing. So I'll just test this one. Is my screen visible?
yeah, you can see it.
So I'll just test the incorrect password so that it gives us like the box that the dialog box that shows the username and the password is incorrect, or rather this one, so that we see. And then another thing, since we're running like a very small application, so it runs really fast, so you're not able to like see what's happening behind the scene. So let's try to like add a bit of, a bit of delayed duration, so that we see like how it renders. So can even add it here and here. So what this basically does is, you see, if the password and username are correct, then you're able to like see them, the test actually inputting the username by itself and the password and clicking on the button on its own. But since it wasn't correct, so let's try and see if we are able to like view how it inputs the values. Running, debugging, oh, it's launching. Okay, so cool. So see, it puts the, okay. Oh, was it visible? Was it too fast? Okay, so it's happening again. So it puts like the self as the username and self2 as a password. That was so quick, right?
We saw the 2 fields.
You saw the 2 fields.
Yeah.
But it was a bit fast, right?
There was no delay.
There was no delay. Okay, let me add like 5 more seconds and see. One interesting thing is whenever you're running like this test, it's like it doesn't cache whatever your application on your device. So okay, so it's running.
Kenny, what if we try to run the await tester pump and settle after entering the the first one or the second one, so that I don't know if that will work, but it's worth trying.
Await what?
Just copy line 31 and just paste it maybe after some enter text method. For example, like after the self, and see if it will
Instead
work.
of the duration, you pump and settle.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
So
don't know.
what?
Yeah, and you can put a duration inside because it normally takes first PRE pump and settle.
Oh, really?
Like your duration object unaweza iweka tu ndani ya pump and settle.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay. So so badala ya kukuwa na pump, delayed duration, you have like the pump and settle. As we wait to run this, can you please explain what this pump and settle does? Because I know there is a pump and settle and then just pump, right?
Yeah, okay. I think pump and settle is used to wait for all the frames to be rendered. So basically it flashes out the remaining frames hadi zote zikuwe rendered. And then it has a default duration of around, I don't know, 10 seconds. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So in our case, since we've put, so we just put the self. And the self to password. So it takes a lot of time because of like the amount of duration we've added on both delayed, the future delayed and the pump and settle. But in a nutshell, you could see like how it renders behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, Candy. I just wanted to show you when you take this const duration object, you can just copy it.
The const duration object from the delayed or
Yeah,
from
yeah. Yes. You can just copy it and then you can put it inside the pump and settle.
Like the way I've done here.
Yeah, you can give. I didn't see that.
Oh, okay. No worries. So basically this does the same thing, yeah. But in a nutshell, that's what integration is really like. It's not something so complex as we thought. Xcode build runs. Oh, and we have like the debug console messages showing us the time and all. Cool. So at least we have one test that was successful, right? Yeah, do we have any questions, any comments, anything on the vibes on this?
Personally, I don't have, but I just have a question to everyone. Do you guys write widget tests in your apps, maybe production apps?
I haven't written any yet, but sort of compelled to start writing them now. Maybe for personal projects first.
Me neither.
Yeah, even me, I do write tests because Failing to write them sometimes kinaweza niramba.
I think I've written them, both widget and unit. I think the only one that I've not, I did not bother to write was the integration, because I didn't find like this case of the importance. But planning to venture into this. But I've written widget and unit. Yeah.
Yeah, even me, integration is the one that I haven't tried it. Kwanza, there was a time I tried to do integration test. Hey, it was frustrating because you get somewhere, you hit a wall, can't proceed. You go back, you start fixing it. So I gave up. I decided, let me just play with integration and widget test. At least those ones, it's easier. Integration inahitaji nini, spirit of a lion.
Well, I think integration test is like the easiest type of test to write. It's just that it's very big, maybe, or depending with your project rather. And in my case, by the way, I am so sure that this test should run correctly. It's just that I don't know why this form field doesn't allow me to like use this controller rather is failing to like recognize the username and password. So what I'll do is I'll just push this code. Maybe somebody can check it out and try to like correct. I was probably missing somewhere and I don't know where.
Yeah. Oh, actually, in test, you can get the state of this specific element and you extract the text value. Yeah. So, but you have to get the actual context first, then the element, then can get the value, then can equate to get the name. Even if the test framework does not allow you, you can go the other way of getting the context and finding the value.
Okay. So what you're trying to mean is like when I try to like run it, it's supposed to like show exactly what the problem is.
I do not get you quite clear. Okay, I think your question was you are not able to get like when it enters like the username. We want to check if the username that has been entered is equals to the one that you anticipate to be entered, right?
Yeah.
So you can get that from the tester if I'm not wrong, but if the tester fails to find it, you can get the context of that specific text field, but this will have to dig deep through the element so that you can get the actual value. I've done that a while ago when I was having issues with the test and failing to get the value. So you dig down through the context and then you get the value. I think once you push it, I'll try to make some few edits and share. But I think you can get the value either way.
Okay, because here from my debug console, it shows like the first one failed, but the second one passed when you enter the wrong credentials. Okay, cool. I'll push it and then we all have a look at it. I don't have much from my end, and I would like to have to know does anyone have any question, any comment, anything to add on?
Yeah, I have a question. Has anyone ever written golden test or tried golden testing?
Well, I haven't written any golden test, but I believe it's like we are moving to that for our next session. Or maybe you can clarify to us what golden test is.
Okay, a golden test, it's like widget test, but in this case, you are testing the actual pixels of what the device is showing. So for instance, you take a few snaps of the expected widget and then do a cross pixel to pixels convert. So they have to match to make the test pass. So it's more kind of widget tests in steroids, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So no, I haven't written any golden test. However, I was feeling like since we're doing like a test series, and we've already done unit and widget, now integration, and I think it's like in line because we're moving to the next, which is like widget behavior test, and then golden test, and then performance tests. So yeah, maybe you can like take it up for the golden test and show us how how the golden test on steroids go on like.
Good question to Eric. How in what scenarios will like these golden tests be useful?
Okay. That's an interesting question. Okay. Where will they be interesting? Okay, I can't really point out a specific scenario, but in a previous role that I was in, it was just a suggestion. Hey, can we do this? So because actually it's not that popular because it's not really used a lot, but it's something that we can at least try on and see like where it helps, where its strengths are, and if it's useful. If it is, that is.
Okay. Okay. Or maybe this is just a thought. Maybe the Flutter team, when they're creating these widgets, they do the golden test to maybe to verify that the widgets are rendering as expected before they release it to us. So I don't know.
Actually, come to think of it, I think that's where it kind of applies, because if you take a look at things like render widgets and custom painters, I think that's where the golden test can really work quite well. So yeah, I think it's kind of in-depth stuff, not really used a lot with widgets, but things like render widget, custom painters, and stuff like that.
Also, in essence, like maybe from a subjective experience, I was working on a project that was using custom painters to basically like draw shapes of specific specifications, right? So that's why you'd do a golden test, basically ensure that whatever you specify to the custom painter has been rendered within those dimensions that you basically specified. I'm getting it right.
I think
Oh,
I think that
thank
will be
you.
Oh, okay. So I think then when we get there, you will show us, or before the Flutter team gets to do that, maybe you can play around with it and have your work published on the Flutter team main channels. Oh, sorry. Do we have more questions? Also, I'm still trying to like understand why this thing is not opening to the next screen. Any more questions, comments, anything? Yes. Can someone post GitHub link to a project? To which project? Because I would like you guys to check it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can share the link. We check it out. Just log in with Google. Or maybe, or maybe you can like share your screen and tell us what this particular thing is about. This particular app is about. Mark, are you at a position to speak? Okay. So you wanted us to like test this this app that you've written?
I think it tells us that it's just an app he'd like us to play around with. Yeah.
Okay.
How can we log in with Google if we don't have the Shawan? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Is it Firebase login, Firebase sign in with Google or something?
Yeah, I think it's I think what you mean is we try to like log in with Google, right? On the app.
Does does the Shawan certificate really? I think it's specific to a device. It's device specific. So if I build the app on my computer, it will build it with my computer's Shawan certificate, which is not registered in your Firebase, which will not allow me to log in.
Okay.
I think
I don't know.
so.
I don't know how you're generating the SHA-1 key, but venye mimi nimeona like they're mostly the same. The debug one and the Kenye Nezavari ni release one. But if you're using the same app, let's say the one who created a push, and then you pulled it, you can, when you generate the SHA-1, it's the same as the one that was used to create. I'm not sure, maybe.
I think it's because the debug key, which is in like the .android folder, is specific to a device. That's why I think it might not work. But maybe in release,
Wow,
if I'm a registered the release key, now the app is in release not on APK, it got built with the release key. So if the release key is back in the same, but for the debug, it could be the same.
Oh yeah, I think like key generate the keys they usually come as both. So it depends. I'll make choice gani ka ali add both ama ali add just the debug on.
Yeah.
I didn't do the release. I didn't even know that debugs they're tailored to a specific device. So
Yeah, they're normally device specific. Have you ever noticed if you're working like on a project with multiple developers, have you ever had this problem where the app is not signing in on their computer, but it's signing in on yours? Then you have to get the debug Shawan for his computer and then put it there so that it might have like multiple debug Shawan certificates so that it will allow any app built like that specific Java to the same app if it's built in a different machine. If you put the Shawan of that machine to allow you to sign in.
Well, I didn't.
Sorry?
I think we had the same issue with somebody on the WhatsApp channel last week who was trying to upload with the debug only for it to be dismissed because nobody could sign in on the Google side, like from the console. So we had to like add the release one.
Yeah, I think we actually have three showers. If you add your debug key only, the app will not sign in on release. If you add a debug and release, your app may also not work if you have Google Play signing enabled, because the Google Play signing also comes with its own SHA-1 certificate, which you have to copy and paste it in your Firebase. So that
there's one you get from Play Store. That
yeah. So the three SHA-1s. Yeah, we have our WhatsApp. Maybe you can text me on this number. I'll add you.
The Android channel.
Yeah, the WhatsApp Flutter Kenya WhatsApp group.
Oh, I'm not part of that yet. So thank you.
Okay, I think there was a question on the chat which was asking if we have WhatsApp.
Or you can also drop like the WhatsApp group link here.
Yeah, let me just get it. So WhatsApp.
Okay. I'm trying to like play around with the application, but I'm running into CocoaPod's problem.
I've just pasted the link on the chat also. You can join. Oh yeah. You didn't get over it. Okay.
Sorry?
100 up. Read the chat. Yeah. Do you have any LB?
Okay.
Oh, just you have to get admin approval to the group. So.
Oh yeah. I'll just requested to join. Yeah, approved.
So thanks.
Okay, cool. But even if it's an Android app, I mean, it's Flutter, so it needs to like still run. But it's okay. I think we've extended our today's session by 20 more minutes, which still is nice. That's what the vibes are here for. If we don't have any more questions, any more comments, I'm really, really grateful for your time, and I'm hoping you guys are learning something and you probably practice this. I'm loving the questions that we are all asking here and the contributions, and I'm really grateful for that. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday, where we'll be checking out what widget behavior tests are, and probably golden test and performance tests. And then after that, we get to learn about development methodologies or approaches, and these also are inclusive of tests, and there's something that we call like behavior-driven test or test-driven development, behavior-driven development test, BDD and TDD, and whichever test that will come up or will probably hear in the Flutter world, then we'll check it out. And yeah, I'm always grateful to you guys, and it's always nice. It's always a vibe, in other words. Yeah, so see you guys next Wednesday. Any more question, comment? No, last? Okay, cool. All right, bye guys, y'all stay safe. See you next Wednesday.
Bye guys.
Next time, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.